Great. Thank you so much for having us. Really like to just first start off and say thank you to Draper Goren Holm. Love your events. You guys are always on the forefront of tackling a lot of these new topics for the first time and use cases of blockchain that no one else is talking about, especially like this session here, sports betting on the blockchain. So I'm so excited to be here with Doug Hoyte, who's the co-founder of Degens, which is a blockchain betting exchange, a P2P sports betting platform that utilizes blockchain technology to facilitate betting transactions. So Doug, let's just jump right in, and maybe you could introduce yourself a little bit, tell us a little bit about the platform, and I think in particular how blockchain and smart contracts are being used to ensure the integrity of the transaction or wager.
Sure. Yeah. Hi, Dara there. Thanks for having me. And Draper Goren Holmes also. Yeah. So Dgens is a platform that, as you said, is a peer-to-peer sports betting system. We started back quite a while ago with Bitcoin. We had this sort of concept based on another system that we used a lot called Trade Sports. And it was really popular. We liked it. It kind of treated sports betting as like a stock exchange where you trade sport outcomes between people, and we really enjoyed it. But it got shut down. So we thought this cryptocurrency stuff would be really cool. So we built a platform with Bitcoin, and we were never really totally happy with it because people would just have to send us their Bitcoin and trust that we would send it back to them. So when Ethereum launched, and it has these concept of smart contracts where you can have very transparent execution of where the money goes and no one's actually holding it, it's held in the network. We thought that would be a perfect opportunity to build our platform on top of. So in 2017, we launched a system called SportCrypt, and it was pretty popular, started to get some traction, and a lot of people liked it. And then in 2019, we rebranded it to Dgens.com. And that's where we are today.
That's awesome. So what cryptocurrencies can people use right now to bet on the platform?
Right now, we support we support two cryptocurrencies. We support DAI, which is a stable coin that's supposed to be pegged to the US dollar. And we also support wrapped Ether, which is it's just another way to use Ether, the native currency on Ethereum. Our platform is very general purpose, so it could actually support any ERC20 token on Ethereum that people would want to bet for, but we don't want to split the liquidity too much, right? If we have a million different tokens, it might be hard for people to find a matching partner to bet on that has the same token they want to bet with.
And so how does it work with the smart contract? So it's P2P betting. So, and I guess the entire wager is governed or ruled by the smart contract. Is that how it works? So all the different, if no one will be paid unless so-and-so is met. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. So when two people decide they want to make a bet together, they're both sides of their bet their funds are moved into the smart contract, and they're kind of held in escrow, right? And then when the bet is settled, it will be sent to one of the winners, right? That's totally decentralized, and people can be very confident, and no one can come and take their money. The wrinkle on that is, of course, who decides the outcome, right? Obviously, in a smart contract, it can't figure out the results of a baseball game, for example, right? So there needs to be some way to get that information into the smart contract. For that, we have these what we call multi-sig oracles. So multiple people need to agree on the outcome of an event, and then the scores will get posted into the smart contract. And if they match up, then it will be considered settled. And we're working on decentralizing that further so that various people could stake tokens, for example, and become oracles themselves, and have an incentive structure to keep that honest. But yeah, right now we have slightly centralized oracles, although we're working to decentralize that.
And interesting. And so talk a little bit about what some of the advantages of basically utilizing blockchain for betting over conventional sports books and exchanges.
Sure. I think one of the really big advantages is the transparency, right? you can see exactly where your funds are sitting at any one point in time, and you have total control over them. With Dgens, before you place a bet, your funds never even leave your wallet. They just sit there, right? Whereas contrast that to a traditional sports book where you'd have to, deposit into them with, via your credit card or something, and it would take your money and sit it into their account, and you would just sort of have to hope that they honor the other side of the bet.
Right.
Yeah, and then of course, cryptocurrencies themselves are very, very frictionless. I think for funding, it's very easy to move your funds in and out between different projects. And yeah, I think also low fees because we have a lot less overhead because the blockchain is handling a lot of the stuff that would normally be handled otherwise. Like for example, funding and settlement and so forth. We can charge a lot lower fees, right? So that's another advantage of the blockchain.
And what about something like spreads? Is that determined within the smart contract, or is that determined by the people that are betting against one another, or is that determined by basically like looking in Vegas or however they typically determine spreads in sporting events?
Good question. Yeah, so there's a couple different meanings for spread. So I think what you're talking about is the point spread. So that's
Right.
Usually for anyone who doesn't know, it's a handicap that's applied to the outcome of a sporting event. So for example, if you have the best team in the league playing the worst team in the league, it's not very interesting for many people to bet on who's going to win that, because 99% of the time, the best team is going to win. So instead, they change the bet slightly and they say, well, is the best team going to win by more than 22.5 points? And then that's what they bet on. So it's more of an even 50-50 sort of bet. So point spreads are set by professional handicappers. Often there's a few companies in Vegas that specialize in this, and also internationally. So those can be set by anyone. And our platform, we kind of post the most popular point spreads that we think people would want to bet on. And then people can request other different point spreads.
And that's embedded also into the smart contract.
Yes, so exactly, yeah. So every proposition that people want to bet on has all of those details, the teams, the time that the game is going to start, and the point spread, and the type of the bet. It has all of those embedded into the unique description of that proposition that people bet on. So when the bet is settled, that'll be used to determine who won.
So talk a little bit about some of the activities that people are betting on now. Is it all sports, and what type of sports, and what are people looking at?
Yeah, we offer a good range of sports. Not everything, but we're working to improve that too. It sort of depends on the season. Right now, there's the baseball World Series is coming up, and basketball finals are on. There's a lot of popular European soccer matches on, and those are the things that we offer and that our customers are mostly requesting. We did have a bet on the upcoming U.S. presidential election offered too, just because so many people were asking for it. But that's not really our specialization. We're more, focused on the sports market.
Right, and I would imagine too, just with COVID impacting sports, this whole year, everything that we've seen, people looking for a whole bunch of other things to bet on. So I would imagine election would be pretty much on top of that list there.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Definitely our user base and volumes went way down when the sports were shut down because of COVID. But most of them have started up again. So things are definitely picking up on the platform.
But since you guys are P2P, could someone bet, let's say, like when COVID hit and basically, the sports were shut down for a while. Or, if let's say they were shut down, and since it is P2P, that we could bet against each other, maybe local sports, high school teams, things that aren't really out there in the mainstream, but that maybe communities would want to wager on.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely possible. And as you said, because our smart contract is permissionless and all the bets are P2P, there's nothing stopping from anyone from making those types of propositions. However, the thing is that we run the Dgens.com website, so we choose which one of those propositions get posted, right? on that particular website. But the layers of technology underneath that and what people run themselves does allow people to offer more custom wagers like that. We would like to offer a broad range of everything, but there's a lot of practical problems with this too, right? Like if we offered every single high school basketball game, there's no way we could get accurate scores for those, and people wouldn't be able to trust it so much, right? So it has that sort of data, long tail data availability problem, which that's really the advantage of the major sports, is that these are very widely published numbers, and it's pretty easy to settle any disputes, right? Someone can just go look at the game on highlights on YouTube and see the final score, for example.
Yeah, interesting. And what about some of just the legalities? Are there certain jurisdictional hurdles that you guys had to go through or are going through with this?
I think that our model is a little bit different. So we only have we only offer cryptocurrencies, right? So a lot of the regulations are based on custodying money and moving money around, right? Which we don't actually do, right? Our smart contract holds all of that. And the other thing that's a little bit different for us is that we're as you said, totally peer-to-peer, right? So we never actually are on the other side of bets. We're never betting against our customers, unlike a sports book would be, right? So it's definitely a little bit of a gray area. The legal landscape is definitely changing, and a lot of it's opening up and becoming more accepted and legal in different jurisdictions. But I don't think we really fall exactly into the traditional categorization of what's happening with a traditional sports book.
Interesting. So let's talk a little bit about where you see the future of this going. I mean, if blockchain is being used to settle the transaction and using smart contracts, smart contracts for settling the transaction, you're basically eliminating, the middle guy or, the bookmaker. We're going to see, first of all, we were talking about this before with the Sopranos, analogy. We'll see a lot less broken legs, which I think is a pretty good thing, right? But talk a little bit on a serious note, where you see the future of sports betting going. Is it all going to go on the blockchain? Is that where we're headed, where Vegas is headed? How do you see that?
Yeah, interesting question. It's hard to say categorically that everything is going to go to the blockchain, but I think a lot of the betting that happens over the internet in particular will eventually end up on the blockchain. And a lot of it already has, even pre-smart contracts. There's a lot of very popular sports books that accept Bitcoin, some of them exclusively only Bitcoin. So I think definitely the internet betting system will definitely move to more blockchain stuff. Whether that'll affect the brick and mortar establishments is a little harder to say, but I think it'll have an impact there too.
When you do that, do you open up to additional cryptocurrencies as well?
Potentially, yeah. On our platform, we're sort of currently targeting just Ethereum, so we aren't. It would be a little bit more difficult for our platform to handle all other blockchains in general, because we don't actually custody anything. It's just our smart contract. So we're sort of limited by what our smart contract can handle. Going back to your previous question about eliminating the middlemen and bookmakers. So we operate as an exchange, right? So when you go on there, you find other people that want to take the other side of the bet, right? However, if there was no one who is posting odds, like who is just offering to take both sides of the bet, if you went onto our site, it would be pretty empty, right? You wouldn't see anything. So there needs to be someone who sits there and logs in and creates offers on all the different games, so that when people come, they have someone to bet on, right? So I can't really say that this system is going to eliminate bookmakers, because that bookmakers can just use our platform, right? In fact, we need bookmakers on our platform, right? People that want to actually offer this service of, here's some odds on either side, take your pick, right? It's as you said, a middleman service, but it's a very valuable service just to give people an option to take either side of the bet.
That's really interesting. So we could see a scenario in the future where actually Vegas maybe moves to the blockchain.
Yeah, I think so, definitely. Yeah, and even some of our users I know run their own bookmaking businesses, and they come onto Dgens to hedge their exposure, right? Like if they have too big of a position on a team, they'll make a bet on our position on our platform on that team also, right, to offset it.
That's amazing. So I see we have just a couple of seconds left. So where could people go to place a bet?
So yeah, dgens.com. We also have a Telegram channel and a Reddit community. Yeah, come into the Telegram channel. It's a really nice community and a lot of fun. But dgens.com.
Awesome.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.